Hey, this is Zachlog the Great, and I'd previously done a bit of a tour of my personal library, take a look at some of the books I own, and explain a little bit about them. And think we can go ahead and continue that today. I believe last time we stopped with G.K. Chesterton, which is a pretty good place to stop. So let's get back to the books and continue. So, like I said last time, we ended with G.K. Chesterton, and like I believe I said then, I cannot sufficiently recommend G.K. Chesterton's books. If you haven't read anything by him, you need to go. Uh, he wrote fiction, he wrote, poetry, he wrote, you know, nonfiction of several kinds. Go look him up. Next, the next one I have several by as Agatha Christie. Fan of mystery stories, not as much as science fiction, but then there's Susan Cooper's The Dark is Rising series, um, which I actually just reread uh, several months ago. It could be a year because I'm old enough that years can go by pretty quickly sometimes. Um, and that's, also some very good books. Uh, Larry Correa's Monster Hunter International books. Very good if you're, fans of big guns and action, and probably the one of the best written author insert, most interesting author insert characters I've ever seen. Mostly because Larry Correia himself is an interesting guy, and him making a fictional version of himself as the protagonist actually works for that reason. Let's see. Skip over a little bit. Charles Dickens. Not too much to say here, although I will say David Copperfield is interesting to me because that's the first book, the first novel I think I've seen that is basically someone's entire life. It it covers David Copperfield's entire life, pretty much. I mean, obviously some parts in more detail than others, but I haven't seen anyone do that very often before. Some Sherlock Holmes stories by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I'm surprised I don't have more actually in print, and I should. I should get some more in print, especially given uh, recent trends of having books corrected to remove offensive content. Um, Several from the year's best science fiction series, edited by Gardner Dozois, and there were a lot of very interesting stories I've gotten out of those. Um, I don't know if the series is still running. I think Gardner Dozois may be dead recently, but I'm not sure about that. Um, I I don't know if this series is still running. I suspect over the past several years it has gone downhill pretty badly. I don't know what's the last year. Let's see. I have the 15th annual collection. What year is this? This is 1998. Okay. Yeah, the most recent one of these I have is 1998, which is before, well before the complete convergence of science fiction stories. Several anthologies: The Count of Monte Cristo, The Complete Thing, good movie. Uh, the book, definitely has. I mean, you can see from the sheer size of the book, it definitely has a lot more going on there. Let's see. Oh, The Empire, the novel, the novelization of The Empire Strikes Back. Um, I don't know if you've heard, the term purple prose. That's what they say for something that is rather florid and overwritten to the point of being silly. Um, yeah, these go past that. This basically goes well into ultraviolet prose. Um, it's I mean it's the same story. Not too much else to say about it, but it's just wow. The level of kind of crazy writing there. It's kind of funny. Few more anthologies. Oh, do I have another copy of that? I think I have a second copy of this up on a different shelf somewhere. Um, I'll have to check. Anyway, Joe Haldeman, pretty interesting, somewhat bleak, cynical kind of writer, but interesting stories. Another set of anthologies. These ones edited by David Hartwell, and who is again similar, a kind of similar opinion to the year's best. They're the year's best science fiction. This is year's best SF and year's best fantasy. Not everything is great, but there's definitely some interesting material there. Dune by Frank Herbert, and the first of the sequels. The series eventually gets pretty weird, but if you haven't read it, I highly recommend the first one. It's I remember I think I read it actually in 6th grade, and that was when I started to understand a little bit of what politics was and how politics works, and playing people for power games. So pretty interesting. Let's see. James P. Hogan. Interesting time travel story here. The Iliad and the Odyssey by Homer, which I have read both of those in translation. I'm not that much of a scholar, but I've read both of those in translation on my own, just for my own interest and amusement. Should do so again. Let's see. And then right here we have the first of several Stephen King novels. Here, let's relocate a little bit. Let's find more of them. And up here we have more of them. I don't consider myself that much of a Stephen King fan. My analogy for him is it's kind of like literary potato chips. I don't necessarily always buy potato chips, but if they're around, I'll probably eat them. And Stephen King is always around, and so I've read several of them. I don't know. I don't. I mean, you know who Stephen King is, and the books, the movies and the books, correlate to varying degrees. But let's see. A Wrinkle in Time and The Wind in the Door by Madeleine L'Engle. Interesting. Not my favorites, but and then I have a set. I believe I got these at a used book sale as a complete set of The Lion of the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. Again, if you haven't read The Chronicles of Narnia, if you haven't read much by C.S. Lewis, you definitely need to. Also, his space trilogy, Out of the Silent Planet, Paralandra, That Hideous Strength. Paralandra is one of my favorite stories of his, and That Hideous Strength is the one most relevant to what's going on today. Let's see. The Pilgrim's Regress which is kind of a allegory of how he became a Christian. Screw tape letters, and Till We Have Faces, which I have read once, and I definitely need to reread. It's definitely one that I am pretty sure will bear further scrutiny. And let's see. So I think that's a good second set to cover. So I'm gonna pan over a little bit, and yeah, we'll come back and we'll talk about some of these some more. So I hope you find this interesting, and God be with you.